Incremental readings. There's a video from Piotr Wozniak, Incremental reading, reviews items only. It's short, 3 minutes from 3 years ago, and I would like to add my touch here. I think it will be meaningful. So let's start with the video.
Excellent.
Excellent.
For me,
Sorry, I had
I want to have items only, so I will click this icon. Leave on items in the browser. And the last thing I need to do is to just learn.
That was quite fast. I think that was edited. If your collection is kind of huge, like his collection, or decent with my current collection, this will take longer. Just to prove this point, I check only my outstanding. Okay, 21,000, which is not that a lot. Then I click here, the L, items only. Have you seen I had loading? Because now I just have 1300, it's very low. But I reach a point of 50,000, something like that, when I wanted to do everything from Supermemo. So keep this in mind that it'll be instantly, like this.
So I have my items, I'll just learn. Let's see how it goes.
Also, something that he doesn't mention, when you click this, if we hover, it says, review all of the material in the browser in the presently displayed sequence. So, now it's sorted by priority, I will see it by priority. Now if I click interval, I will see it by the longest interval first, or if I click again, the lowest. The same for title, lost repetition, and any of the columns, like lapses and so on. And you can also, if you don't want any criteria, you want absolute random, but you want still to do items only, you can actually customize this. Sort, and here you can even have more, like by the knowledge tree position, for the text length, and many other things. Or randomize, in case you really want arbitrary order, which I kind of suggest, especially for tiny collections.
The first question is Formulation.
How he knows that? If I see a poem, which is English, how he knows that is, I don't know what is, how he knows that? By template. He is using templates, but wait a second. It's no template now. That means that he did something or edited something that lost the template, but he has a styling regardless. My best guess is, like I actually did as well, is that the styling implies meaning already. So if I see this color, this yellow color, on this greenish background, that means it's language card. You can do it like this. So it's one strategy. You can use your own conventions in text, emoji, or special characters like I do to be more synthetic, or rely on styling. That's another example. Is what on earth is this? This is a very lazy cloze deletion, because he did other cloze deletions in the same place, and he hasn't reformulated anything, or anything yet. He has done 2 repetitions in more than a decade, so this is a very lazy cloze. If you see this, at least you have a hint that he has 4 siblings, meaning 4 more flashcards from the same extract. They have the same wording, but one will have secretory granule closed, the other will have layers of membrane closed, and so on. Or perhaps it's the one entire thing in 2 lines, I don't know. So in this case it will be 3 more. But you get the point. He doesn't have even a concept group set. It's the to-do, like the dummy. So I may think that that is kind of a low priority. He doesn't care about this as much. That makes sense. It's in the 26% priority range, which is close to 200,000. Massive.
Assembly let's learn to the trans complexes. Yeah, it's too complex. Maybe I'll just save some time and shift it to the end of the outstanding queue. it's too complex.
But I noticed that in this case he's using web IP template and was massively delayed. How do I know that? Because the previous interval was 5 days. First rep was in June 14th, 2007, and the last was 5 days after that. And then I don't know the date of this video, but it's Supermemo 18. That means it was 2018, more or less. So the 11 years was most of this was outstanding. It makes sense. This had 190 total postpones, which from the last repetition had 184 postpones. Crazy.
Maybe I'll just save some time and shift it to the end of the extended queue.
And he's shifting the priority, so still speaking, he's bypassing the repetition.
The dorsal stream, word buffet, is involved in processing the object's spatial location related to the viewer and with speech repetition. Something's wrong.
This is a good example. In this case, it's very high priority, 0.1%, 500 position. He only did 2 reps. This is a really recent, a lot more recent than the previous item.
Related to the viewer.
And now at least he deleted some information. That's an example of incremental rewording or knowledge formulation. Now he only deleted information. Perhaps next time he will change a little the phrasing. Perhaps that's not required today. For him today, this is enough. It's enough. You will improve it incrementally. He only has done 2 reps, only has 11 days. Based on this pretty range, he will see this item more times in recent months anyways. So he will have an opportunity to iterate this question and answer.
Byzantine Empire was named after Byzantium, which Emperor Constantine I rebuilt under May 330 as...
That's an example of not a hint, but a cue. What are you asking here? Oh yeah, you're asking the new name.
Constantinople.
Also, he's always clicking. You can also press enter or space to reveal the answer. And you can also create your recall using the numbers 1 to 5. Even though you also have the 0, don't use the 0, 1 to 5.
So check it. Constantinople. Yeah.
Wow, that is an obscure feature. What he just did, this is checking the phonetic reading of the text. This requires phonetic reading registry. That could be useful if you have the English collection. Other registries, those. Pronunciation by sound and by word, and you have a key binding that you can I think it's Y. I don't even have it here. I'm gonna show it to you now because I don't have any registry, but there's the key binding for it. Yeah, exactly. Alt Y, show phonetic reading. Super arcane. In case you want this, create a card. I actually do this. So the card will be how you pronounce Constantinople, written, obviously. And then the answer will be the phonetic reading, instead of using the phonetic reading registry. And the question marks, is when the phonetic reading doesn't have this string. It's not in the registry, therefore it's not known, and it's replaced by question marks.
Nope. Yeah. Divide 15 by 16. Sounds difficult, but it's actually easy. You all need to remember is 1/16. From 1 is 1/16, that would be 0.9375. That's correct. Sounds difficult, but it's really...
You may think, what is the purpose? Keep in mind, in this video, it's 3 years ago, right? 5 years ago. So I think here Piotr was 55 or 56 years of age. Why he needs this? To divide mentally 15 over 16. This is for an heuristic. So those kind of regular equations, fractions, you want to mentally calculate this as a shortcut. So you know that 3/4 is 0.75 and so on. So this could be useful to do those estimations quicker. That, okay, it's not this number, but it's very close to 15 over 16. So it will be like this. Oh yeah, 93.75%. Stuff like this. Could be useful for those estimations if you want quickness.
Be really easy. About how many billion years from now our sun will start to expire? The red giant. 5 billion years. 7. I bet a chicken. I think I have another idea which is 5. That's 13 years.
Oh, that's a good case. So the question was 7 years, but Piotr thought it was 5. Yet there's the button here. Yet he chooses the number 3, the hazy recall.
Which is 5. That's 13 years. I have another idea which is 5. That's 13 years.
Okay, rather correct response, recall with substantial effort. What happens is that in Supermemo, this is successful. This will still go to the final drill, in case you use final drill. But for stats, that is a passing rate. 1 and 2, the thumbs down and the angry face, it's a failing rate. The question is how you rate it as a success if you failed. It was 7 and you said 5, right? And we are talking about billions. So the difference is about 2 billion years. It's kind of a huge deal, right? If you notice, he picked at the interval, and it was 13 years, which is kind of high. The question is, based on the priority, the importance of this item, makes sense to restart, to lapse, discard, therefore starting again from a new interval? In this case, it's not. Okay, I was wrong, but it was not a big deal. It's not that meaningful that I did something that is out of proportion, right? So it was 7, I said 5, I fall short by 2 in percentage. It's acceptable based on the priority. In this case, it's 66%. It's kind of low. And in his collection, it's almost closer to the 500,000. And he only did 1 repetition after the last lapse. So this item has already been lapsed. And perhaps this was lapsed 13 years ago. Because the date you see here in blue is equivalent. Is the date of the next expected review, 2019. It's 2024, makes sense. That was 5 years ago when the recording of the video. So then he had 16 years. That's a lot. I don't want to see this again and do repetitions until I get this to the few year intervals. If it's just a tiny detail that instead of 7 it's 5, and it's so low priority that I don't care. I accept that it's hazy recall. It's partially correct. I accept this. I prioritize correctness in other questions. Other pieces of information, facts that I care more, are higher priority.
Okay. And there was yet one trick I could do. When I view my last browser, these are data still learning, I could still prioritize them. So I just click the priority column to make sure I start from the most important ones, okay? So I click. And it's sorted.
Spring. Sprang.
An example of having more than one sound component makes only sense for language learning right away.
Sprung.
Okay. Maybe some other time.
Yep, and that was it. I hope my extra input has been meaningful and I added something new. See you incrementally.